50 to go. Night Driver still bobbing. Hellenism. Lady River's coming late. Night Driver, Hellenism. Lady River out wider. Hellenism hit the lead close home. Hellenism beats either Night Driver or Lady River.
Welcome to Bet Doctor, behind the curtain look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got DK, the punter's punter.
Morning, Scoot.
Famous.
Morning, Nico.
Up and about.
Nico Noonan, how are you, mate? Jamie
boys.
Carr, you laid her all day yesterday at Sandown, and you got the chocolates.
Yeah, she just didn't have the day I suppose she wanted there. There was a few people out there to watch it. I'll hopefully get the
Was there
100,
really?
So. Yeah, there actually was. There was a few little few fangirls out there for Jamie Carr. So she's having a huge impact on this sport. So it was good to see, but unfortunately I didn't get a result. I imagine Saturday will be the day she'll
Looks like
crack
she's got a
the
bit
ton.
stronger book on Saturday.
How many races will it take, you reckon?
Saturday, off the top of my head.
The McAvoy thing in race 2, isn't there? Deep speed.
Yeah,
or something?
he'll go close to winning off his jump out. So I think it'll be early in the day, to be honest.
Well, something for racing.com to look forward to. And you had another little mini fill up on Saturday, Bruno Stars. It was
Yeah,
a good
Bruno,
watch.
that was
550
good. Yeah.
into 350, I think it was.
Yeah, and the way the track was playing there.
Prushka.
Prushkas. Love Prushka.
Yeah.
In the country and those sort of joints. By the way, as it turned out, Echuca can be leaderish, but they took a meeting the week before to help out Wodonga, meant the track chopped up a bit. So you could get to the outside fence, which that horse was sort of going to get back a bit and need to sort of come through or around them. And actually, Jay Bowdy tried it really well. And it was a good watch. He accelerated hard to round him up. So that was a good round, a good price too, wasn't it? It was, sort of tipped a few sort of really hard in the market lately. It was nice to get a sort of a $5 into $4 or whatever it was, $3.50 winner scoop.
How do you think the tracks in Victoria are holding up in general?
They're pretty well, because now they're pretty smart at not racing on them, not gutting them, rotating them
Synthos.
out. And you get your head around the synthos. Like it's part of what we they have 2 or 3 meetings a week this time of year. So you got to adapt to it and embrace it really, which I try to. I sort of had the shits with the syntho for a while, but if you're not betting on the syntho, you're hardly having a bet or a heavy track. So no, but they're good now at moving them around, and the track's holding up well. Yeah.
What about you?
Even like this Saturday, it's the Syntho. I saw that at Pakenham. That's a secondary meeting. So look, they're using them a lot this time of the year, and we've got the usage of them, so we might as well. But I thought Echuca was sort of an easy enough day because the pattern was established early in the car that you knew that's where you wanted to be. Every jockey wanted to be off the fence. There's one horse, Cape Bruno, maybe one of the maidens, or
which was a
Bronco or something like that.
Yeah.
That's his name. He'll be very hard to beat next up.
He's a nice horse. Yeah, he was. Well, I just wasn't sure about him, but because I tipped the Payne. I went looking for it because I tipped the Payne W. Gordon winner there at the last meeting, first starter, and he had a similar profile, and he tried, but I just wasn't sure of his trials. But he was a nice horse.
Something I'm enjoying is their minimum bet laws introduced last week in Queensland and Victoria. It's just so easy to have a bet, and it's just, I think your brother tweeted out WA just needs to pull their socks up, and New South Wales need to do it too. So hopefully it's not too far down the track that we can just see the minimum bet laws open up. But I think Racing Vic have done a really good job.
Yeah, led the way, and that tweak to when the prices go up has been, I think, really good.
The difference.
One for me personally, and 2, but be able to tip a horse early.
Yep.
If you're like, you've got to wait till 9 o'clock so everyone can get on, and then all the snipers tune in, and your spoil's gone. Now, if you like it, day or 2 out, you can
pull the trigger. And it's fair.
Everyone can get on.
Everyone can have their own whack at it. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, because before you'd half, like sort of 9 a.m. on the morning of a race, it'd half go into a fake price because everyone was trying to get on. Say if it's a $3 chance, at halftime we go into $2.40 and then get back out because everyone's trying to get their bets on at a certain time. Yeah, and so it's only helped that.
And there's those blokes with models and everything who, as soon as the scratchings go in and spits out what they want, especially the map models. There's some map models that they're 7:55, 8 o'clock. They're just ruthless. And there's enough, the Tab and Sportsbet, and there was enough place that were going to bet you anyway to those rules of when the price goes up that it made it worthwhile for them to do it. But now it's good, it's across the board.
Now, DK, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree last night. I wasn't watching the front bar, but our man DK, there was, I think it was Simon Beasley.
Yeah, the Bees, the
famous bookmaker and Bulldog, notorious goal kicker for the Western Bulldogs. He kicked his 100th goal one day, and there was a bloke...
1985 qualifying final against the Kangaroos.
And you were there.
I was there.
And you ran out into the ground.
Ran out on the ground, when he kicked it. He was my hero when I was a kid beezer, and then got to work for him like 20 years later at the 25 years later at the races. Ran on the ground, and he tells the story. He loves that story that he that was me, the kid with the Well, it was on the TV. There he is.
We'll just put up on the screen here, and there's a kid running across the ground.
Red, white, and blue hair. He said it's got
red
red
hair,
and he's
got the Bulldogs cap, and he's absolutely going hammer and tong. I tell you what, if that was you, DK, you're in absolutely fine nick, but I tell you, the give up's the hair. Your hair is not that red. It could be a bit of a G up. The photo looks a bit of fake news, but
that's paint. That's paint. That's spray paint down the. That's all hairspray. What not colours? Paint. It was a big game, big final.
So that's you.
It sort of looks like me. Anyway, I did run on the ground and I was there at the game, and Beezer thinks it was me, so we'll go along with that because he loves telling that story anywhere he goes. At a few,
I think I interviewed him one night at Betfair function, and he mentioned the story. He knew you were in the crowd, and he loves to rev you up about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, he loves that story. So it's one of his repertoire. But anyway, it's a bit of fun and it's close enough to the truth.
Outstanding stuff. DK is going to have a look at a race at Sale. Nico Noonan is going to have a look at Caulfield. Jamie Carr's about to notch her 100th. I think he's going to have a look at the first and one later in the card. And then our man Walt is off to the British Open. He's on the bag for one of his mates who's a golfer there. So Mark Lambourne's going to jump on. He's going to preview the Winter Stakes. And he's also going to tell us about the state of the tracks up in New South Wales. It's been an absolute quagmire, a lot of these tracks.
I don't know what's going on there. I say Mark's been tight, I don't follow him a lot, but he's been really tweeting ruthless. Something's completely off there, so it'll be interesting to get his thoughts on that.
And a few people have been asking us, where's the bookie smash? But if you see, I've been betting in a few of the New South Wales tracks at the moment, and they're just bottomless. They're 9s and 10s and all those provincial meetings out wide. It's very hard
to charge into them as well.
Charge into horses, and they're the wrong sort of horses as well. So the guys have been keeping their powder dry.
That's right, and it generally should be. It should be a little bit of a downtime with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Just for now, August and that we get going again with the nice horses back for the spring. But now got wet tracks, just an in between time with horses in their preparations. So things can be quiet from.
I'm even finding that with my stuff, like just looking at the yard and all those kinds of things on Saturday and Wednesday. Like there's just not a huge edge there in a lot of these horses, especially that are well exposed on the Saturdays and that. So it generally is a bit of a down period this sort of time. But Saturday, I think we've got group racing at Caulfield, and then I think it'll really start to kick off after that.
It's going to turn quickly.
It will turn quite fast, but it is hard to sort of launch into those heavy tracks as well when you don't quite know what the market's going to do with those horses, like the bookie smash. There could be a heavy tracker in the race that's smashed off the map and all those kinds of things. So there's a lot more variables once you factor in a real heavy track.
Yeah, no, very true. As I said, if I had my way, July, I'd be in Port Douglas for a month. If you just could have your own way.
Hopefully this time next year we can go overseas.
Yeah.
But I think the bookie smash tipped up a bit of a one-go in the dogs at Gawler, so that was $2.70 into $1.80 and got the chocolates. So some respite there and a little bit of action for us. But we're going to also sub out Beat the Bagman. He's lost his voice, so he'd love to preview a couple of races at Gawler, but he literally can't speak. Another mate of mine in Melbourne has got a similar sort of illness. So
Rona.
There's a bit of
Rona?
Yeah, something going around.
South Australia?
Yeah, just virile horse. So otherwise feeling well, but just can't get the words out of his mouth. So we're super subbing in Eagle. So we've got Perla and Eagle in, and Bagman and
stiff beat last week. Bagman with
Walt,
that street tough or whatever it was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was a horror one. Anyway,
but
that's what happens.
That's the great game. But let's have a look at Sale on Friday. DK, you're going to open the batting.
All right.
Fresh legs here, and let's have a look at the market courtesy of TopSport. We've got Raise 'em Up has been 360 into 310. Tell Me Again 550. Stonefield last up winner for you 7 into 650. $8 Florida Dream. Silver Lake 8. Epic Ranger 950. $10 Onslaught, and you can get much better. The rest we're going to you're going to take us through two replays here. So we're going to go to Sale. So we're going to stick with 600 of Stonefield.
As you said, we'll stick with a horse that we know who's done us good favours. He was 2 starts ago. He's in the 1-1 there at in the Corstons colours, and this is a good race for him, but he just has no luck here. Have a look here. He nearly arguably comes down the jock here. Whoa. And the grey horse on the inside revels in the conditions and kicks away. But he actually picked himself up and got going again off nearly coming down on the turn. So that was the run that said to me, well, next start at Cranbourne.
You've got to back him.
You've got to be,
if the race suits.
Even luck. Yeah, with even luck it suits. So I like the way he picked himself up here and kept going. He could have spat out. So that was a good, and this was, that was at the track and distance of this race on Friday in the similar conditions.
And here he was.
Here he is. This was good. Out in clear running as the difference here. Lockie Kin makes sure he's in clear running here. Builds momentum. This was a slow tempo, so it wasn't ideal. He sort of was a bit of an on-pace race, but he rounded him up. And I just liked the way he sustained, and the second horse, to its credit, which was well backed with Jamie Carr, first starter. Really liked the way they sustained through the line. And I don't know if we keep that rolling a bit, but they're another 3 lengths in front of them after they go 100 yards. So he comes back to Sale, where he had that unlucky run 2 starts ago. And my initial reaction when he won at Cranbourne, and I think I might have said it to you, and I said it to someone else about I was staying for one. I said that also win again. Yep. He is flying. So I think he's in great form. He goes into he could be looking for a mile, but this is going to be a solid tempo 1400 on wet track, last race of the day. So it's going to play like you want to be strong at the trip anyway. He's drawn for room. Last race of the day on a wet track there, they'll spread wide. I think he can camp off. There's a bit of speed there, raise him up, trouble shot, and whatnot. So they'll roll along. I think he's second emergency, but the way Victorian trainers scratch, he'd be 101 to get a run. I mean, it's just scratching central estate down here. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, it's about $200 a scratch. You talk about cost to owners. There'd be 20 scratchings a day on average in Victoria. Multiply that by 363. It's about $1.5 million in scratching fees the trainers get the owners to pay. Victoria, how good's that? Anyway, another story for another day. But he'll get it. I'm pretty sure he'll get a run. And what I did say about the last, like he is 1 from 11, and someone said, I'm around him at Cranbourne because he was none from 10. I'm basically treating that horse as though he's 1 from 3. He's just a different horse this time. Since he had that 62-day break, they've got him right. They switched his gear, switched him. Whatever they've done, they've got him right. So I think I'll stick with my gut instinct that he can win again, and this looks a suitable race for him to win again.
He's kind of a big line chaser, hasn't he? Like sort of early days, you get up on the speed. I remember watching a few of his real early jump outs. He was just a get out and run, sort of like 800 metre horse, really.
He got beat at short odds at Kyneton one day when they just let him stride at the lead from the 1450 start at Kyneton, and he just stopped. He stopped late, and you're a chinky, but when they rode him quiet at Kilmore, he savaged. And then he had no luck at Sale.
Savage the line and then get last up.
So I think he's 1 from 3 with very strong SP profile from those 3 starts. Raise him up. I'll get up front with the kid on, the Tassie kid on it, and it'll keep going right. It's obvious favourite. It'll be, but I think you'll be able to run on there at the end of the day. The tempo looked all right. He might have some company up the front. I think it suits for a horse like Stonefield. And I think my initial reaction was he could win a midweek off that maiden win, or the form he's in, and he goes to a 64 at Sale. So, I don't know, $6 or $7 or something, Scooty, I think he is, isn't he? I thought he was worth sticking with.
Yeah, and you got plenty of time to see how the fence is playing, being late in the card there.
But generally, they'll spread, I think, late in the day there with a solid tempo race. You'll be able to come down the middle for sure.
Outstanding stuff. Just what we need, a little late bet on Friday to kick the weekend off in winning style. This weekend, if you're doing the form, make sure you check out puntingform.com.au, their sectional pro form package. I think it's about $297 a month. Game changer for me and the boys in here. Their barrier and lane information is a recently added function, and they've also got stats on trainers and jockeys. So if you think Ollie's going bad, you can back it up with the stats and the data, and you can find all the trainers that have got the good strike rates. I know DK's passionate about that. I saw him tweeting off about one of his favourite trainers the other night with such poor strike rate. But all the data's there, so you can have a look at it.
I guess who that was, Nico.
Bussin'.
Yeah. And he's got a stable full of $200,000 horses. That's the thing. If it was just some bloke with $20,000 horses, I wouldn't have said anything. Well, bloke, he's got a stable full of $200,000 Tavistocks. Like fair dinkum. Anyway.
I knew I'd get him if I could just throw a little bit of burley in the water. I've got him nice and early. All right, we're going to take a break. And Johnny Kelton, we're going to get him via phone. We're still going to do a couple of replays. He's found a couple of last start winners to tip us into Gawler, and we might ask him how he can figure out betting on the track, the Gawler track. He seems to have figured out Murray Bridge and the Morpheville Park stuff. So let's pick his brain and get some insight there. But we'll take a quick break. Welcome back to Beck Doctor, behind the curtain look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got DK in studio and Nico Noonan, and we've got Eagle. We've got Johnny Kelton online from Adelaide. How are you, Eagle?
Yeah, good, thanks, boys. A bit cold, but we're okay.
I'll tell you what, my car beeped this morning. It said it was 4 degrees. I don't need the reminder. It's -5 in Canberra. It's
was 0.0. It was 0.5. Those in the rain was coming to the city. 0.5. So I was a bit fresh this morning.
No good.
But so just as long as the rain and the wind stays away, I don't mind if it's brisk and cool, but just that rain and wind stay away.
Yeah.
The only upside in winter is it's perfect red wine drinking stuff, and you guys are absolutely famous for it. And I tell you what, I've been talking about Murray Bridge lately and Morphettville, but it's been a godsend, Murray Bridge, for me on the punt lately, upping my turnover there. But tell us a little bit about Gawler this Saturday. What's some of the keys to betting at Gawler, Eagle?
Yeah, generally in the winter there'll be a reasonable amount of give in the track, even if there hasn't been much rain. Often when the rail is normal, the track will be leaderish. When they put the rail out a few metres in the winter, you can see them get well off the rail. Obviously, every day is different and it depends on the previous meetings there. But with rail normal, especially early in the day, I'd be happy to be backing inside gates and horses near the speed.
Yeah, outstanding stuff. All right, let's try and find a winner there on Saturday. We'll go to race 5, the GJ Civil Handicap over 1,100 metres, and I've got odds courtesy of TopSport on the screen. The favourite here is Miss Muccini at 480, been 550 in. Lady Simone 5 in from 7. Belzeal has been $6. Naily $6. Tessnam $6.50, Short Stories $8. I think I've backed that before. Mutinous $9. Spin the Reward $13. So it's a bit of depth to this one, perhaps. But the replay that you've got us to play here is Miss Muccini on its I think its debut win here. It puts them away by 2.5 lengths. It's in the black and gold at Murray Bridge, and it's just on the fence there with the white. Is
it Sam Lyon, one of Sam Lyon's horses, is it?
Yeah,
is that
it's pretty impressive.
Grand Syndicates.
Yeah,
it's just putting them away, nice accelerating there, isn't it, from the 4 to the 2?
Yeah, and does it?
The horse had trolled up quite well a number of times before its debut run, and its debut win was quite impressive. This prep, it's only had the one jump out, but it seems to have gone quite well again. So I think it might be a horse with a reasonable amount of ability.
First up, ready to roll here, because it's giving away a lot of fitness to a handful of runners here that are right in the market. What are the dangers here, Kelton?
Well, Lady Simone probably maps very well inside gate. It's gone well around this track before. I think it's got to have a good chance. There is a fair bit of depth, as the market would suggest, in the race, and there's probably a few horses on the way up. But like Miss Muccini, David Jolly's horses have generally got a very good record fresh. Strawn inside, it's probably positions to be midfield or a touch closer than that. There should be good speed in the race with Mutinous probably going to run them along. So I could see Miss Muccini and Lady Simone both getting beautiful runs. And if Miss Muccini is fit enough and has taken a bit of natural improvement from its debut win, I thought it might be a very good bet around the 450 to 480 mark.
I'd be potting that Tessnam off what it did on the synthetic. It's a $1.4 million yearling, and it's not much good. D-Lane gave it every possible the other day and it still didn't hit the line. Belciel will be the pick of the Victorians there. It's going good, that Belciel. It's
should have won at Maui.
Yep.
Tragedy beat it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then it went good at the start before too, didn't it? At Bairnsdale or something.
Bairnsdale,
So it'd probably be the pick of the Victorians there.
I could definitely give Belciel a chance. I agree with you. I thought Tessnam had no hope. Spin the Reward has shown ability, but it's first up off an awkward gate. Probably some rough chance, but I'd be happy to look at 9 and 10 in that race.
And we know you connected to the Clarkin yards. Short Stories?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether both the Clarkin runners are going to run. I think only one of them would run. Mm-hmm. Short Stories has been an improving horse. Its last run was its best in its career. Drawn a touch awkwardly and back in trip a little. I think Short Stories would want a bit of give in the track and a bit of a testing 1100 to be right in the finish here. And Lee has shown some ability, but I thought a couple of the others may just have her covered.
Outstanding stuff. Let's kick on to race 6, and I tell you what, it's starting to really heat up in the trainers and the jockeys premiership over there. But the odds courtesy of TopSport on the screen for race 6, the Terrace Function Centre handicap over 1,200 metres. We got Great Diviner, $3.80, Mayan $4.40, the Big Goodbye $5.50, K Series $6, Munster last start winner. I think it knocked me off, $6.50. Lakes Folly, $8. Diesel and Dust, $13. Another last start winner. And then you're getting Cricket Score odds, the rest. We're going to have a look at the last start replay of Great Diviner, purple with the red cap on the fence here. And nice little victory here too with the nose roll on.
Yeah, it was a solid victory from the horse, considering that as the meeting went on, the rail became more and more of a no-go zone. And this horse basically went to the inside of all other runners and hit the front a long way out, which is generally against this horse's racing pattern. So I thought it showed a fair bit of guts here and held them off at Murray Bridge. And it's gradually improving into this preparation, and it's drawn neatly here to take a spot just behind the leaders.
And notably, a few of the dangers here, drawn 7, 9, 11.
Again, we're going to have to wait and see how the track's playing, but I'd expect the speed would be pretty decent here. Great Diviner does map to get a good run. It's an honest horse, handles a bit of give in the track, and being a young horse, there's probably still a bit of improvement in him. The other horse that's got as much ability as any of the others in the race is the Big Goodbye. Drawn a shade awkward, but it's a very honest horse, and it was a really solid win first up. Just a query whether that first up win has taken a little bit out of him because he was on a heavy track late in the day. But he's a very honest horse, and if he got a decent run in the race, he's definitely good enough to win it.
DK?
Yeah, no, just all right. That's just on another subject there, Eagle. While I got you, Tony McAvoy, I just want to sort of pick your brain a little bit about handling that camp. They've now got 80 horses at Ballarat, so we're seeing them a lot here. You've had them, obviously, we've had them over here, but you've had them more, their younger horses and things over there a lot. And you got any sort of basic starting points when you're handling that camp?
One thing about them, I would say, like looking at the way that they train them and jump them out there, I'd say they do a lot of work on the synthetic track at Ballarat. Their record on the Ballarat synthetic with younger horses seems quite good. Huge. And I'd say that track would suit them well because their horses are generally a shade one pace but quite fit. So I'd say that they're quite suited to that track. But overall, I was looking through a few trainer strike rates over there. Their overall strike rate in metro area in Victoria isn't anything flash, but the Ballarat synthetic produced sort of a handful of reasonably smart youngsters early, and they've got that track experience having been trained a fair bit on it. So I wouldn't be afraid at all of backing them on that Ballarat synthetic, but conversely, when they leave that and go to harder races, probably happy to bet against them.
That's exactly my thoughts. So I got some stats. There's 6 from 16 on the Ballarat Poly this season.
Yep.
But if you go to Bendigo, they're 1 from 27 and Sandown 1 from 33. So exactly exactly justifies what Eagle is saying there.
Nice little question without notice, and Johnny's handled that with aplomb.
Yes.
I think Jess Eaton rode Munster to victory last week, so I think it's on the back up there. But the SA Metro Jockey Premiership, Todd Pannell $1.70, Jess Eaton $2.15. I know Bagman said last week that someone's unloaded a big punter that he knows. I don't know. We don't have to give him up. He said it wasn't you, but any thoughts here with Pannell and Eaton?
Jess Eaton's obviously a stable rider for Michael Hickmott. One thing I would say about them, Michael Hickmott is leading the Trainers Premiership, and he seems very keen to win it. He's, as you can see in that race, he's running 2 in that race. So Jess Eaton's probably got some good rides to come. I'd still think Todd Pannell is the most likely chance to win it, but Michael Hickmott's obviously throwing a fair bit of ammunition at the last few weeks of the Trainers Premiership. So Jess is going to have some good rides coming in anyway. So
it's going to go down the wire. Fascinating stuff. All right, Eagle, I tell you what, you're very versatile. It doesn't matter if you're in the office, you're in the car, wherever you are, you've absolutely nailed it here. So races 5 is Miss Machini, and then race 6 is Great Diviner. So hopefully those 2 shorties hit the line, and knowing how white hot you are, if you're listening home, you probably better jump on quick because the prices will evaporate. Johnny Walter calls you God. But thanks for joining us, Eagle, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you very much, boys. Good luck.
Have a great weekend. All right, this weekend, if you're betting, make sure you check out topsport.com.au. They're Australia's biggest betting bookie. They've been in the game for 35 years. They support our podcast. You see them on the streams. They handle all the big action for us, and we're lucky to have them as a major sponsor, so make sure you try them this weekend. They are a great outfit, the Merlihan family up there. And we're going to have a little bit of a break, and we'll come back with Nico Noonan. We're back to Caulfield this week, and we're excited. Welcome back to Bet Doctor, behind the curtain. Look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host Scoot. I've got DK and Nico Noonan. It's time to talk about the Heath Caulfield. We're going to dive head first into race one there, the TopSport handicap over 1,100 metres. We'll go through the top of the market. Here's, how do I say this one? Zapateo. Zapateo, last up winner, I think at Geelong, $2.80 at $3. Vivian, $5. Vianello, $5.50. Shame for Fame, $7. First Division, $8.50. Cherry Pick, $11. And Libiamo is $12 there.
Where is Teo?
Teo.
Yeah, is he injured? Did he fall off or something?
He's got a broken leg at the moment.
Oh, is he broken leg?
He's still recovering from that.
That'll stop him. And the replay we're going to have a look at is Zapateo in the Godolphin Blue at Geelong.
Yeah, this is a big win on debut. This is the half-sister to Osborne Bulls. She jumped out very well at Flemington leading into this, and I thought this was a great win. Sitting wide the entire trip. I think staying at the 1,100 metres on Saturday is going to suit her because she was a bit empty at the end of this race, but she did a lot of work to get into it.
And a bit keen in the early part too.
Yes.
I think that might be a reason to... She's in a race with a bit of tempo.
Yep, so I think that's probably going to be a positive for her. The four men behind her is a little bit suspect. Like Nazdana's since come out and didn't do a whole lot. The grey filly behind them didn't do a whole lot of Chuka, but Zapateo had to sit back round the whole entire field. She did all the work getting into that race. And like I said, I think that staying at the 1,100 metres, that's going to be a positive for her, given the fast early tempo there could be in this race. Ollie's just going to have to weave his way through from barrier number 4. Watching him on the TV that day at Geelong, she looks a very professional filly, as you'd expect from the Godolphin camp. Really reminded me of the brother Osborne Bulls, actually, just the way she's built. Market was with her there on debut. Like I said, I thought she jumped out very well leading in this race. I don't think it's that strong. Like
Vivian was a bit disappointing last start, wasn't it?
Vivian paraded awful at Caulfield last start and was very disappointing. I don't know what's sort of the go there. She could maybe be like end of prep. Vianello, I don't know. She was playing like she was 550 out to 9 and didn't do a whole lot. Yes, she was probably in a race with Jigsaw where it was a bit of a one horse affair, but in behind him, I didn't think there was much there. And she ran 4th. She looked a real 2-year-old as well when I saw her in the yard. She just doesn't look like she's improved since her early days. I think Zapateo is a real progressive filly who, as a 3-year-old, can keep going on, and we're deep into this 2-year-old season. So Ollie sticks. He went to Geelong to ride. I think this is a pretty good bet at sort of $3. I was surprised she wasn't shorter, to be honest, just off what we saw there. Like her last 400 metres on the punting form data relative to maiden grade, she ran that 4 lengths above. Then the last 2 only 0.6 above. So I think there's still improvement there that she was just a bit empty at the end of that race, and staying at the 11, she should be very strong late here.
Yeah, and I think the first 2 were the 2 to take out of that race, and everyone... I mean, I dodged Nastana the other day because I got in a bit short, but... and I think it was an end of prep. It needs the paddock or something. It was just disappointing. It did run $1.80 or something. So what I do sort of see some similarities between with that Barragunda that won yesterday and won on the same day at Geelong for D. Oliver from the wide draw like it did. So yesterday it had the softer draw, gave Ollie more options to ride it just nice and just give it a good run. And I think he'll do that with Zapateo in behind him, find the gaps and accelerate. Yep. Rather, you're just restricted from what they can do from wide draws. I like that, from gate 11, was it going gate 14 to gate 4, So I think it'll give Ollie more options and get it to settle better in behind him and accelerate through. But it's jump out. Jeez, it was a lovely jump out before that debut. So all the trial groupies were all tipping it there at Geelong.
Yeah, and there's just not much in this race. Like Shame for Fame, I think she's pretty well exposed. Like she was good at Bendigo getting back and hit the line, but she misses start and can race keenly.
Yeah.
So
it
sort of missed a start and he got a backside and was able to pull out and excel. She's got a bit of talent, but just needs too much to go right.
First Division trial well earlier this year, and then recent stall jump out. She ran last, so I don't know what to sort of make of that. Like I said, Vivienne, I was just not impressed at all by the parade last start. Cherry Pick was just okay in her jump outs. I think Zapateo's a really smart filly, and she's in a really weak race. I'd be happy to bet up here at $3, to be honest. I think it's well overs. I think she should be closer to $2.20 and should be winning.
I watch Oliver. Well, we talk about Oliver in the office a lot. He's had 4 winners of his last 50 rides. Barragunda he's won twice on. Gabira for Waller. And there's
dead heated.
Yeah.
It did heated.
And Zapateo was his other one at Geelong. So I think he's going awfully. He's going at 8%. And his ROI is minus 40%. Looking at puntingform.com.au.
Would be with that strike rate.
Hey?
Would
terrible.
be with that strike rate. Oh, the goat. I mean, interesting.
It's could be dead set sit and steer.
Hopefully he can turn it around, but it's going to go...
Full faith in Ollie on Saturday. I'm tipping 2 of his. So,
so he's going to turn it around.
It's the Ollie party to spoil Jay Carr.
You know, yeah.
All it takes is us to get on someone's back and they turn it around.
And for some, he's the number 1 rider for the Godolphin stable down in now. Obviously, he's done a contract or whatever. Maybe 20 of those rides might have been 15-1 Godolphin chances. He's riding a lot of slow horses of theirs in the bush. This was the one good one. And, you know, maybe there's something there for him for the spring, but he's obviously a long-range plan to be their rider because he's belting around a lot of slow ones.
But he seems to just be flopping out. He's
that's
not going forward often, which is a big red flag for me. Anyway, let's have a look at race 7, the Cat and Nax Jewelers Handicap. Great sponsor, Caulfield there over this 1700. This one, Chief Al Tony. I think this is a Fletcher tip. This one, 440. It's open up favourite. Think and Fly. We've backed this before, 480. Thought of that, 550. Scottish Dancer.
Flying for the roll of dice.
One of your horses,
one of mine. Yeah,
DK, 850. Vegas Night, a horse that we've backed many times. I think I was on it last start. Also $11. Strategic Phil, 13. Jittery Jack, 18. And much better the rest. Nico, we're going to have a look at Thinking Flyers last start.
Yeah, a few horses here Little Birdie punters will be familiar with. Chief Altoni and a few others. Look, I think Think and Fly was a good run here behind the Graves. Ollie threw in a protest late. That was probably always going to be dismissed, but there was no doubt he was impacted by De Graves being all over the track. You take De Graves out of this race, he's absolutely bolted in, and he's really going with this horse. The figures they run on this race were very good, off a fast early tempo, which I think he's going to get here. That looks really good speed on paper. Third up, he's unbeaten. He's a real pattern horse, this horse. Tends to get better the deeper he gets into his prep, and like I said, third up, unbeaten. Ollie sticks. And I think this is just better form, that sort of De Graves form. He could be a real sort of spring contender once we get there. And it just looks like a perfect setup for him. Looks very similar to last start. He would sort of get back from 7. He'll be running on, charging to the line. There looks really good speed up front. His last race, they went 9.5 lengths above to the 600, and I think that brought out the best of him. I'd be expecting a fast tempo here again, which should do the same. No doubt a horse like Chief Altoni, who's right hard in the market, has ability. His win, last week at Soundown was very good, so he's on a fairly quick backup, but he is racing in sort of benchmark 70 grade, and that's where all his form is. I think he'll definitely be the one to pick out of him and Thought of That. Their last meeting at Flemington, Chief Altoni started $2 and was very unlucky. Thought of That was a longer price. Who does get Jay Carr here, which is probably why he's so short in the market, and the mail is that he's going very well. But I'd be expecting Chief Altoni to beat him, and I think and Fly's better than them both. So Patton horse, third up. Hopefully Ollie's got Zapateo home early in the day and he's got a bit of confidence.
Speaking of Ollie going for a double skirty.
Well, the best thing about this horse is drawn 7. Ollie just loves finding himself back onto the fence, into the coffin and waiting for that cushy run.
Yeah. No, they did. I noticed they ran, there was a high rating race the other day. My only concern would have been, could he hold that sort of run off a peak, off a peak run. But you're saying, the horse a lot better than me, Nico. You're saying he's a pattern horse, third up, he loves third up and all that sort of thing. So, and as long as the tempo was all right, the tempo, obviously, fast early tempo leads to high rating a lot of the time. So if he's got apples for apples there, then he can. But yeah, there was a bit of the usual suspects there in the open handicap, wasn't there? There's a few horses racing well.
Yeah, I think the 1700 will suit him as well. Just stepping out the extra 100 metres and trip. You look back at that Flemington replay through the line, he's really charging away from him late.
Yeah, especially if you get that little Titan up in 150 out, didn't he?
Yeah, so I think this is a good setup for him. I think 480 is a good price, to be honest. I think one of him or Chief Altoni will be the winner. I'm happy back and Think and Fly, third up, Pattern horse, 480 looks a bet.
Perfect. All right. Come on, Ollie. Turn it around for us and
go.
Launch into a really big spring. If you want to launch into a big spring, puntingform.com.au has got 200-metre benchmark split, so you can see how fast the horses are going. They do it for Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong. You can get a lot, so they've got the class benchmarks and more. Make sure you check out puntingform.com.au, and we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to talk Randwick and the state of tracks up in New South Wales with Mark Lambourne from Racing Rink. Welcome back to Bet Doctor. Behind the curtain look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I've got DK and Nico in studio, and it's time to talk to the godfather at Pearls, Mark Lambourne from Racing Rant. How are you, Perla?
I think I'm looking more like the grandfather of Pearls here.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, I tell you what, you got the beard. It's Castaway. It's Tom Hanks. How are you going in lockdown, all right?
Going great. Look, we've had a relatively dry winter in Sydney this winter, but a few spots around. They want to call the tracks very, very wet, which they're not. But we will actually see a wet track on Saturday because whilst it's probably a winter dead at the moment, we'll get half an inch of rain on Friday, and that will mess things up. And it won't be that. It'll be a bit bleak on Saturday as well, with a nice little southwester up their bums. So we're looking at a rain-affected surface on Saturday with a 6-metre rail, tailwind. So you might have to be in the van on Saturday.
So what you're saying is, we'll read out your tweet and you can sort of explain it in a bit more depth. You tweeted out yesterday, it's now abundantly clear that the new financial year has rung in changes at Racing New South Wales Stewards track rating scale. Following on from Saturday's Rosehill Gardens inaugural Dead 8, the inner circuit Royal Randwick can be unofficially classed as a good 7. So you're thinking the ratings are just balls up there?
Look, they don't use 1 and 2. Scoot, and they barely use 3. So what's happened is that they've degraded the whole thing. So they're now calling what used to be slow tracks heavy, and they've got nowhere to go because their bottom rating is 10. So pretty much when the track officials and then stewards post a track rating, it's generally going to be 2 to possibly 3 ratings better times wise, because what else do you have to use to grade a track other than times? It's the whole reason that we once had fast tracks and slow tracks, fast times and slow times. So they were the 2 inviolables, and obviously when you got very soggy, they called them heavy, and the going in between fast and slow was termed good. So what we've got now is they posted a 9 at Rosehill last Saturday, and they basically ran 5 times all day. So it was a dead track. And they wanted to tell you it was a heavy 9. Now, that's a long, long way away. They eventually upgraded to a heavy 8, but they were still well short of where the track actually fell.
That's mind-boggling. It's so confusing, and it's, I guess, to the core of racing. And something else that we don't know much about. We've seen a lot of the highways, but for Victorian and interstate sort of viewers, what's this midway stuff? It's for provincial trainers, but not the good provincial trainers. I'm confused.
Well, it's for metro trainers as well, but not the good metro trainers either. So there's basically the top 15 trainers in the area, be they provincial or they're generally metro, of course, have been barred from this series of races. There's one to be run every Saturday. It's called the Midway, and what they're essentially describing are midway trainers. But, of course, that bracket of trainers tends not to have Saturday class horses. So what you'll find is a few fringe Saturday horses matched up against some more midweek horses and a few provincial horses thrown in to make up the field, because obviously it's a $100,000 race, and the trainers that are eligible get a chance to race for that money. It's low grade stuff, and I think that it'll certainly fatigue lots of punters. Of course, the administrators come up with these ideas, and the metric will be field size, and they'll be patted on the back. But they don't have to do the form on these races, and nor do they have to get to race 7 on Saturday and go, I don't want to deal with these horses. But anyway, I suppose the bottom line is you can take it or leave it. My thought on these races is that it would be very, very a great idea to actually have 9 races on a Saturday with alternate highways and midways, and you stick the missing highway or midway on a midweek card. So get 10 days in between the midweek highway or midway and the Saturday highway or midway, and you could sort of run a little series. Certainly, I think the midweeks, they're languishing in their 7 race and 6 race cards, and it doesn't have to be all Saturday focused. You got to remember that you've got some feeder product that you need to look after.
Just sounds like they're making it harder than it should be up there, but
and then they put it in the quaddie as well, which I've seen some blow up on.
Race 7, yeah.
Just creating different rules and different races and metrics to, I guess, make up for their other shortcomings in the other programming. Sounds a little bit like NRL, but let's park the conversation there, or we could be here all day. But there's a link there. There's a real common element. But let's have a look at the Drinkwise Winter Stakes. Over 1,400 metres, got a Victorian here, Rubasaki, who I think is racing a little bit fatigued, but will be definitely suited by a wet track, and maybe Barrier 11's a good draw for her also. 550 into 420 at topsport.com.au. Bandersnatch, one of Walt's tips, last start winner, $5. Charlize, $9.50. We know a lot about that. No jockey there, so may come out. Count of Monte Cristo, $10. Order again. That's another sick beat of ours at the Scone Cup, $10. Tricky Gal, we've been on it. It's like the Little Birdie handicap. This $10. It's
a little shop of horrors, isn't it?
Oh, mate, we do like a bet. Ziegfeld, $10. Roy Deeney, $12. True Detective, another one we've been on, $12. Legay Salil, $20, and 3U, another one we've been on, $21. And much, much, much better the rest. And who have you settled on here, Perla?
Well, okay, so let's talk about the config of this race. So Bandersnatch made all to break through 2 weeks ago at Rosehill. Rosehill, very sympathetic to that style of running, and it was certainly his race. Shove him up 4 here. He looks like a double figures chance to me, despite winning the lead up, because you've got a number of horses injected into this race. You've mentioned Rubasaki. We've got Count of Monte Cristo, which had the flashing light on board there in the June Stakes, kept fresh. He's got the fat fresh record, and who jumps on but J-Mac? And plenty will have noticed Danny O's tweet yesterday saying that J-Mac is striking at 24%, which is hideously good. You've got my tip, which is Riadini, ran third in an Epsom, ended up in a Golden Eagle. Fresh up here for Gaybots, with blinkers back on. It'll get in the van, and it'll be fit. It's from that yard. It'll be given its best, and I can't believe it's double figures. So that's where I've started. Another horse that I would mention that's out of the market there is Legay Soleil, who has got form around Lena's Hero, who won one of these, well, basically a lead up to this race a few weeks back, and she's been freshened up from a disappointing run in Brisbane. But once again, very good fresh horse, and second best rider on it is T-Berry. Other horses to mention, Ziegfeld is a horse that was touted as an import, just had the one run in the autumn put away. 3 trials, very interesting runner. And come back to Rubasaki, who of course was the Purple Patch Joe O'Neill flag bearer, worth plenty as a broodmare, but looks like one of those Purple Patch mares that might have seen her best days. She it's been, I think when I first got into racing in the mid 70s, it was well known that mares could easily have what's termed a purple patch and then never come back again, or come back as well. And she seems to be of that order. However, she does get the Nash man on board, and he's unbeaten on her. Last time she was in Sydney, he was on her twice for 2 wins. But I'd have to be against her at the price. So summing up, 4 Riadini from 3 Count of Monte Cristo and 15 Legay Soleil.
I've been following Rubasaki very closely all this prep, and she's not hitting the line.
Run below.
Massively.
So she's got a flat tyre.
Yeah. Nico?
So how long do they keep going with her for, Nico?
It's breeding season soon, so around the corner.
So it must be having a couple more.
This is a listed race.
This is a listed race, yeah. Listed race.
She already has black type, obviously, but I imagine they're maybe trying to squeeze a bit more out of her.
And Nash back on.
That's a key. Nash getting back on. Michelle off, who I don't know. There was commentary last start that she slaughtered on Twitter. I didn't sort of think that. She just didn't get a whole lot of luck. So yeah, Nash has the key to her, and she gets on a wet track, which should suit her. But it's an interesting race. Like, you got Rubasaki, who was gonna be the next best thing in racing, and she hasn't really lived up to it. Then you got this horse like Charlize, who I remember backing at a midweek not too long ago, and all of a sudden has made her way up to listed grade and unbeaten since leaving Victoria. So weird race.
I think you back. I think Pearl's on the money here. You can back a couple of middle pinners here, and I know Order Again's been racing in good fashion, and I know it's a really
definitely
loaded
a horse
wet
to follow
track
from his last start.
Yeah, it's absolutely knocking the door down, and I'm definitely chasing my money there. Let's have a quick look at TopSport big bets, and we'll keep her on the line here because there's one in the opener at Randwick. The first big bet at TopSport is race 7, number 9, Chief Altoni, 1,500 at 440. We've spoken about that race already, but then Bjorn Baker's got one, a first starter. Randwick race 1 at number 9 is Sir Crackle, and I think this horse has won 2 or 3 trials. And now kicks off here. Do you know anything about this horse, Perla, or any insight into the Bjorn Baker yard?
Well, it's popped up in the form of a few other first starters of late, and clearly this is a one of Bjorn's project horses. He's got a very high opinion of it. It is his time of year, of course, and featured yesterday. And I think he's got Spencer running around in the Grafton Cup today. But look. What I stumbled upon a few years ago was that the best way to get your horses ready for their first start was to actually trial them away, particularly if they're young horses. Trialing away, we've got a horse with Gerald Ryan called Intolerant. And I noticed that he sent his fees through yesterday, and to trial at home is free, but to trial it away costs $135. And of course, you've got to pay your float man and everything to get the horse to the venue. So it is an expensive exercise, actually, trialing horses away. So they do it with good reason, because it's very, very experience-wise, it's very, very beneficial. The horse gets to go on a float, gets to go to an unfamiliar venue, and obviously jump out of the gates somewhere where it doesn't know where it is. So Bjorn's had 3 trials away. The only thing better he could do was actually start the horse at home, but there's no Saturday races around at Warwick Farm these days, so he's come to Randwick, and I'm sure it'll be humming. Sir Crackle. I haven't done the race yet, so I can't give you an insight into where it sits, but it'll be a competitive race. But there's only midweekers predominantly that I can see in that race. So Sir Crackle up and running. Watch out.
Okay.
Well, on the subject of trialling away and Rubisaki and whatnot, Paddy Payne. He's the biggest exponent of that. So he's got all these David Price horses, right, that hopefully get sold to Hong Kong or Macau or whatnot. So he's got to get huge bases into them, right? Give them great bases. So how does he do that? Mate, they'll go to 8 different joints for jump outs and trials and things like that before their first start. They just get these massive bases, and the way he does that is on the float, off the float. Sometimes the jockey doesn't move on them. He's happy for them to finish 100 yards behind the second last horse, but it's the trip away and all that sort of stuff to get the base into them. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and
stress is the key to getting horses ready. I mean, they need to get yourself when you're training. The more you stress, the more the fitter you become, and stress is very important. So, as DK just mentioned, just getting on a float and off a float and travelling on a float, that's stressful. So there's lots of ways to bring a horse to fever pitch.
I'll tell you what, I think I need a trip away as well.
The
but
Lone Ranger there, it's supposed to be on the Gold Coast as we speak, me. Remember? None of that happening down here.
Now it's 4 degrees down here. But a little side note on Sir Crackle there. It's space its rivals, whatever that means, in trials. 3-length win on a heavy 10 and the heavy 8, if you believe those track ratings, by 5 lengths there. So it should handle the going. And as Mark's alluded to, it'll be rev right up. The other TopSport big bet is Doomben Race 8, number 4, Roman Aureus, and that's 1,000 at $4. So we might check in with the guys from MacBet over the overnight there, and we might fling it out an email if the boys like that. But big thanks from us down in Melbourne, and good luck with the rest of lockdown, Perla, and good luck with these 10 race cards and the minefield that is New South Wales Metro Racing.
Thanks, Scoot. Talk to you soon.
Good luck, mate. All right, that's a wrap from us. It's been a monster show. You've got you got a runner today.
You've got a runner today who's a similar style of horse to Stonefield that just need the keys to someone find the keys to unlock him. He's got a different trainer and a different jockey. So let's hope that switches that horse on. And there's a sale on Friday. Go and have another look at it. Pakenham Synthetic Saturday. And haven't seen past that. Don't know what Sunday is. But anyway, we'll see. Keep trying to find some winners.
Nico Noonan on course at Caulfield.
Yeah, we'll be there doing our best at Caulfield. I think getting back on track's definitely helped me, but just need a result, punters. Just lots of seconds and thirds at the moment. So hopefully Saturday, yeah,
Middleton.
it is frustrating. Last week I came in the show and tipped 2 last. I'm either tipping seconds or last at the moment, so something's got to change there. Hopefully the seconds can just improve one spot. But yeah, if you want to get involved, head to the Little Birdie shop there in Manning Yard Mail. It looks a pretty good day of racing and some 2-year-old race. I'm pretty keen to have a look at them in the yard, yeah, for sure.
Outstanding, and it's DK out wide if you want more of Dan's provincial analysis. That's a wrap from us. Good luck over the weekend, and we'll see you next week.